Welcome, everyone, to the August meeting of the Facilities Committee. And we will start off with item 1.01, resolution to approve facility use requests.
Thank you, Mr. Leverstein. As you can see, we have 9 requests this month for facility use. They have all the paperwork, their insurance, all the requirements that the district requests. It's all on file. We just want the board to approve them. And then we have an attachment, the Gold Bath Youth. Jim, if you can click on that, the one on the left. No, the other one. The Gold Bath Youth football team is requesting a reduction on the fees to use Academy Field. They do it every year. That one. They send a letter to Mr. McCoy. So when we did the paperwork for them, I put the actual fee that is on the policy, and they're requesting a reduction of the fee, so that had to be approved by the board.
Any questions on this? Ms. Maneo?
Yes. So they're asking for a per game, $200 per game fee, yes?
Correct.
Per game. Okay.
That's not what I get out of the letter, I thought.
No, go to the top. I think it's 400.
It's per day. Okay, so
400 for the day, and if you do one game, it's 200. But if they do multiple games, it's 400 for the day.
okay, so which is different than the chart, which says $400 per game.
I put it there because that's what they have last year, but the actual charge will be $1,000
Okay,
a
so
day.
okay.
The policy is charged $1,000 a day.
Okay, so that's going to be revised if the letter is accepted.
If the
correct?
letter is accepted, yes.
Okay.
So it will be $400 if they have, and sometimes they have multiple games on a Saturday, so they are in Academy Field all day, so the charge will be $1,000 if the board don't approve this.
Ms. Maneo?
So I guess my question is, how many people, or do you know, Andy, how many people ask for a reduction? So are we setting another precedent again, or is this something we've set the precedent for and we must continue?
The Gold Bath Youth Football Team is like a feeder program for NFA. Some of our coaches work with them, and for the past few years, I think probably the last 5-6 years, the board's been approving this because all the kids on this program are students from our district.
Any other questions? No? No? Okay. Do you need us to say yes to go ahead, or this is just going to go before the full board later tonight to vote on
I
this?
defer to Matthew McCoy on that.
We have to find out from the committee if the committee is in agreement with lowering the price to the $200 as requested.
Okay.
So that decision needs to be made right now.
Here. Okay. So, Ms. Maneo, do you agree with this going forward?
Yes.
Mr. Dore?
Absolutely.
And yes, myself. So, okay, we're okay to send this forward. Thank you. 1.02, completed summer work.
Point of order.
Wait, I'm sorry.
That will require the other attachment to be updated prior to board approval this evening.
This is the second chart. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, 1.02, completed summer work.
Mr. Niblo, can you open the attachment? There is a list of all the work that we've done this summer in the district. 95% of the work has been done by the district crew. The window repairs in Bombay and Horizons and West were contracted out. We did that under state contract. The rest of the work is what we've done. There's more work that we are finishing the next couple of weeks to open the district schools. So what I'm going to do in the September meeting, I will attach the same list, but then the stuff that I add, I will bother put in a different color, so the board have a full list of all the work that the district completed this summer. And I got it there by school.
Any questions at all on this? No, the only point I would like to make is I wonder if something like this list should go in the BOE weekly, so all the board members see all the work that's been done by your crew during the summer.
I will forward it to Mr. Foyer and Dr. Campbell.
We'd be happy to do that.
All right, thank you.
I will forward it to Dr. Campbell and Mr. Foyer to put it in the BOE weekly.
Okay. 1.03, windows at NFA.
During the energy contract, We did most of the window at NFA except for 15 openings. I know the last time we talked about windows, I said 15 windows. It's more than 15, but it's 15 openings total. We approved the purchase order through state contract. The windows were ordered about 3 weeks ago. It's 24 to 26 weeks to get the windows in. So I'm hoping to get the windows installed over the Christmas break if they're here. If not, we have to wait to spring break. But yes, they're ordered, everything. We're going to match the windows that we have in the rest of the school.
Thank you. Any questions, board members on this? No? All right. Thank you, Mr. Velez. 1.04, school opening preparations.
Yes, we are about 90% ready. The reason why I'm not 100% is because we have 4 schools that were used for 6 weeks during the summer. So we are moving staff from all the schools into those buildings. I will have everything ready by the middle of next week. There's some schools that we did some minor construction, it's all on that list. There's some schools that we have work to do, and I spoke with Ms. Roaring. We approved some overtime because the schools that have 6 weeks of school, we lost 6 weeks. So we worked last Saturday, and we're going to work this coming weekend to catch up to finish the work.
Any questions, board members? No?
I
Okay.
do, I have a little
I'm sorry.
question. So knowing that in September, we have the same problems that we have in May and June with heat in the rooms, so have all the air conditioning units been re-upped? You know what I mean? Like the fans, have they been checked, and have the filters been changed?
All the filters in not only the air conditioning, but all the univents are changed. It's on the list. It's all in every school. The window air conditioner, we have 555 of them. We have checked them, run them. I'm almost 90% sure they're all going to work, but sometimes some of them are 25 years old. So hopefully they are all fine, but they all have new filters. We run them. Next week we're going to run them all again. And and it's not on the list because I'm going to add at the end, we have replaced 23 window air conditioning units over the summer.
Thank you, Mr. Velez, thank you.
Thank you. NFA and street update.
That's the building at Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart. So the floor were installed. The furniture is in the building. This past Monday, the City of Newburgh Building Compliance Inspector visited the school. We passed the inspection. Everything is good. The fire department is coming Friday just to look at the rooms for capacity. Once they sign off on that, we have the full CO, and we're working to apply for the CO with the State Education Department next week.
Any questions? Anyone? So just a question, when you say that, so the fire department's going to come, they should be all complete with the COs, that's municipal law. Education law or education inspection, are we good with that too?
The process, Mr. Levinstein, because the building was closed, and it's not labeled as a school because it was closed as a school. The City of Newburgh had to do the inspection first. Once they have given us the CO, we will apply for the CO with the state, but the state inspection for compliance was already done about 3 weeks ago, and that already passed. I have all the documents. So once we get the CO from the City of Newburgh, we just have to send the paperwork to SED to get the CO for school.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so now we're up to 1.06, capital construction update. I'm assuming that's Mr. Ramchug? No, it's not.
Actually, this evening, we're joined by representatives from TPG and CPL who will be giving the presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Those of you that don't know me, I'm William Devine from TPG. Lou is running a little late. He's in traffic on the thruway, so I'll take the presentation. And we have So this is our update for August. It's been a pretty busy summer so far. A lot going on, a lot to talk about. If there's any questions as I'm going through the presentation, feel free to stop me and ask. And start off with the agenda. We'll talk a little bit about the contractor progress, schedule overview at Heritage and Vales Gate. And then once we get through that, we'll talk a little bit about the review and design process we're making with CTE and New Windsor as well. So Heritage contractor schedule and overview. As of right now, Heritage is on schedule. Still anticipating the completion date the summer of 2023. The contracts are as follows. For the general contractor, it was Profex Inc. at $2,675,000. Electrical contractor is J&J SAS at $1,265,000. And the mechanical contractor is MDS at $4,228,720. Continuation on Heritage contractor schedule and overview. Schedule status. Mechanical contractor right now is preparing for the new copper runs for the future equipment. The electrical contractor is installing conduit for the new feeders at the gym. A lot of electrical upgrades at Heritage at both schools. The underground utilities for the new addition are ongoing. We had to move a few things that were underground that were in the footprint of the building. There's an electrical line and some existing storm. The new additions, the new foundations for the addition are ongoing. They're digging them as we speak. And CPL is reviewing submittals for mechanical equipment to get the package ordered. As we all know, the mechanical is probably one of our longest lead items, somewhere around 16 to 17 weeks right now. So we're hoping to have a meeting this week with our team and get everything resolved and ready and get that squared away. So I gave an overview here of the Heritage logistics. I know there's a lot of questions about how contractors and the schools are going to kind of intermingle. So here you see we kind of drew the red arrows coming off the main street of how the contractors are going to, thank you, are going to flow through the building. So the idea is we have signage that's going up that's going to direct contractors on which direction they have to go. So they'll come up, and when the road splits, they'll go to the right in the bus loop, up to the temporary road that we built into the temporary construction area, which is, it's kind of hard to see there. It's on the bottom within the red fence. I don't know if you could scroll up there a little bit. Yeah, right there. So the highlighted in green, bright green, is actually the new addition footprint. So what we try to do is keep the contractors, all the equipment, all the staging material very close to where we're doing the construction. You can see that everything within the red lines down around that green area is a fence, the construction fence. We do have a mesh to kind of conceal what's happening behind that fence. Our trailer is there, contractor parking would be there. So there really is no need for contractors to actually leave that fence unless they're maybe going for lunch or coming in and out for the day. Any questions on logistics?
Does anyone have any questions to this point? I have one question in reference to the logistics. Are there plans to meet with staff at that building and explain the logistics portion to them, how it might affect them, or why they can't maybe drive in a certain area, or why they may have to do something different?
So, I don't know. Yeah, so prior to us finalizing this drawing, Roger and myself went to both school districts, sat down with the principals and staff, made any modifications that they had requested just to make sure they understand the flow, because we do have some egress patterns that have changed as well that we had to modify. So we made sure that the district or that personnel at Heritage, both buildings, understood what was happening. And I believe we have another meeting set up preschool opening to do the same thing again.
Great. I think keeping the staff informed would really be good. Ms. Mineo?
On your, it took me a while to kind of get this together. On your outline up there, there's yellow, which means that's the school in session, correct?
So those are the areas where we're working mainly. So I wanted to highlight, when we sat down with the principal, I wanted to at least give an idea of where the main portions of the work were happening. So the gym is highlighted in yellow, that's off to the left. There's a lot of mechanical upgrades going in there. A lot of new ductwork you're going to see. Visually, it's going to change a little bit. And then the main building, of course, to the right is where a lot of the other mechanical work is happening and electrical. So I just wanted to kind of give the principal, when we sat down with them, a little idea of where the work was happening, which is pretty much most of the school.
So between, there's like a white building, you see it between the two yellows, and then there's a red stripe. That's
Correct.
that's the current cafeteria, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So does that mean in that red, that little red piece, that's construction piece?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how are we going to protect the children and the staff while construction is going on and they're going to be eating?
So we, bear with me, here's my first time using this. It's on the side. Sorry, guys. Oh, all right, there it is. So this is a very good question. This is a wall. So what you're looking at on the left-hand side is actually the exterior wall of the cafeteria existing. So what we did is we go in, excuse me, and we built a temporary wall, both insulated, caulked around all the edges. It's not only a noise barrier, but it's a vapor barrier. Nothing can really get through this wall. So we built that wall to protect the children that are on the other side. Because at some point during construction, we will have to remove the exterior wall to bring everything together. At what point that happens, it'd probably be more towards the winter time. But at both schools, I'll show you, we kind of protect them with these walls.
I guess my next question is for Mr. Forget or the school. They lost a significant amount, or any amount is significant because it's a small cafeteria. Has the principal been able to schedule lunch in a reasonable amount of time for those, middle school kids?
She's been able to schedule it within a reasonable amount of time. I'm not really sure because we weren't reasonable prior to construction. So we're still on a really tight schedule for breakfast and lunch. It starts and just basically doesn't stop. But Jessica's on top of it. She's worked with her faculty. She's worked with Caitlin, and we should be okay. So short term for a long-term fix.
Yeah, I just worry about the kids in that space. Thank you.
If I can just quickly add, there is a meeting scheduled this week with CPL, Ms. Lang, Mr. Ramjog, and the head custodian there to look at the cafeteria space and how they can most efficiently lay out the tables and seating for the students to maximize that space during construction.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot. Go ahead, Mr. Devine.
So here's another view of Heritage. To give you an idea, you're looking at, from the parking lot, you're looking at the exterior of the cafeteria on the right-hand side, and where the kitchen would be behind the brick wall on the left-hand side. So you could see we started digging for the footings here with the excavator on the left-hand side. Those are the two glass walls, actually in the background, that make up the existing wall that we said we'd have to remove at some point, and then the temporary wall is directly behind that.
Mr. Levinstein, so it looks like there are 2 air conditioning units that are going to be affected that are there. And that in that small space, that movement of air is very important, especially with students of that age who are very active and, it's going to be hot in there.
So those are, Mr. Ramjug and I, we talked about that at the meeting the other night. Those are actually 2 exhaust fans. We are going to make sure that they are functional. We wanted to build a wall first, and what we'll do is create new ductwork that extends over to the existing wall and becomes active.
These aren't working.
Oh, yes, they are.
Thank you.
On the side, I was supposed to say what it's-
All right, go ahead, please.
No problem. Current budget status here at Heritage. Give you an update. I'm sorry, I could barely see that myself, even with my glasses on. So on the first column where it says contract, those are the numbers I read off to you guys originally, the original contract sum. On the second column where it says allowances to date, that's the total of allowances on the bottom, $13,785 that we've, oh, thank you. Thank you. On the far right-hand column are all the proposals that we were given to date, and then the very last column is total pending that are still under review. Next up, Vales Gate. Vales Gate as well is on schedule and same anticipated completion date, the summer of 2023. Contractor are as follows. Ferrari, $3,501,800. J&J Sass at $1,127,000. Mechanical contractor, MDS, at $2,685,034. Site contractor, Arginio, at $971,861. And our plumbing contractor is Aero Plumbing at $189,000. Schedule status. We've had a very productive year so far at Vales Gate. We went through an abatement process, which was, in my opinion, very successful. We did all the abatement and disconnects to the modular. They're all complete. The temporary parking lot on the far side of the building is also complete. The new electrical service and the patching of pavement is underway. As a matter of fact, I believe we finished the pavement this afternoon. The demolition of the modulars is expected to start on the 24th, which is tomorrow. We're still on track for that. We'll be there first thing in the morning to get ready. Temporary egress to the cafeteria is expected to be completed by the end of this week on 8/26. And the new addition is anticipated to start on or about 9/6/22. So far to date, contractors are complying with SED, noise regulations, and will not disrupt any instructional delivery at all. Here's the same overview we did with Heritage of Vales Gate to kind of show our staging area. I'll work from left to right. On the left-hand side in the black box just above the existing parking lot, you can see where we created a temporary parking space. We actually made it large enough to where it almost doubled the size of the parking lot that we took, which is on the far right-hand side for construction. Making our way over to the right-hand side, again highlighted in yellow is the modulars, just to show the staff and principal there where we'd be working. And the red line, again, is the fence, showing that all the contractors will be behind that red fence there. No need to really come outside of that area besides maybe for lunch or leaving or coming in the morning. All our construction work will be behind that fence. And again, we have the mesh, solid mesh, to kind of conceal what's happening behind that fence. Here we see these are the entry doors to the modular. Unfortunately, we cannot get inside to take pictures of the abatement, but I wanted to show that we have proper signage up at the doors, and the abatement is now complete for the modulars. Here's a picture between the main parking lot in the middle and the road of us installing a new electrical service. And then the Vales Gate current budget status. The column on the left-hand side, starting under contracts, are the numbers we read off earlier. The middle column, allowances to date. We have not released any allowance dollars to date at Vales Gate. The proposals on the right-hand side, we've received one proposal for $1,649 that we rejected. So Vales Gate to date has zero allowance or change orders been written. All right, moving on to redesign process for New Windsor.
Hang on one second.
Sorry.
Before we go, does anybody have any questions on Vales Gate project? Go ahead.
I'd like you to reiterate your question about meeting with the staff.
Well, actually, I was going to make that point and others, how it affects students, where the construction is, any building, that's what we'd be concerned with. So
same thing with Heritage, we did at Vales Gate. So we met with them prior to any construction happening at the end of last year. At Vales Gate, we actually met with the entire staff. We set up the gymnasium. Myself, Lauren, and Lou were all there to answer any questions. We handed out printouts to kind of show all the staff where we work in that same layout that we showed you here. We gave everybody an idea where we'll be working when. Also handed out a flyer of dates, of anticipated dates and where things will be working. So that went very well. We also just had a meeting this past week with Kimberly there, met with their staff again and the principals kind of to go over what happened over the summer, what didn't happen, and what to anticipate moving forward.
I'm just going to footnote that our meeting last Friday was primarily with the leadership team and the custodial staff at the building. They are scheduled to meet with the full staff on September 1st.
Another point might be, I don't know if there's anything set up, and I don't know if it's from Ms. Roaring, if the parents have an outlet, a way to contact their kids may come home and tell them stories. They may not understand what's happening. Is there going to be some kind of thing where if a parent has a question, they can send an email or contact their principal? I think we should be open to that.
So the communication would be expected to be routed back through the principal. Both principals have included capital project updates for their buildings in their letters out to their families in their community at this time, and they're continuing to share those updates, and we're supporting that work as they request.
Great, thank you. Okay, if we want to move to New Windsor, is it?
Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everyone. So in regards to the design and redesign process, our next facilities that we'll be looking at is New Windsor and the new CTE building. And this is my first time with this, so I have no idea how this works. Oh, did it change? Yes, it did. Did it change too much is the question. No, okay. So starting with New Windsor, we are moving forward with a bit of a redesign. We just want to ensure that we don't come over budget when we bid this project. But the project has holistically gone to SED. The review is complete. What we're waiting for right now is project manager approval. And as of late, I think we may have mentioned in the past, SED has had very few project managers. So it's been fairly slow when it comes to project management approval. They have hired some new ones, but I think there's still an acclimation period, so we are still anticipating that approval. So we're thinking another few weeks on that, but the review is complete, so there shouldn't be any further changes requested by SED. In the background, we're doing a little more work to look at alternates and further develop the building so that it fits within the context of the neighborhood and potentially reduce the cost of the project. A few of those items so we've changed some of the facade elements to brick, like I mentioned, to align with the neighborhood and align with the existing building. We're also taking a look at the HVAC system. We've had some changes that were actually contractor initiated on Heritage and Vales Gate. So as we're reviewing that, and we review it with the district, if it makes sense, we want to have all of the equipment district-wide to more or less match, so Andy's not running around trying to maintain all these different systems. So as we review those building submittals, we'll take another look at New Windsor and see if we can make some changes to make that system align more closely. We've had some modifications to the floor and ceiling patterns as well. Again, this is a maintenance-driven item. Our original design, I think you've seen this before at Vales Gate and Heritage, we had colored and different shaped ceiling tiles, different flooring patterns. We've realized over time that those cost more money, several thousands of dollars more. It is definitely well worth reducing that, and there's an extra bonus where Andy can keep certain attic stock, and it's not different amongst all the different buildings. So all said and done, we're looking at about a $2 million savings, and then essentially going out to bid this fall. So none of these changes we're thinking will elicit another review by SED, so we should be able to go straight through to bid once we have PM approval. Just a little bit of a facade update based on what I said earlier, where we're introducing brick into the facade to align more closely with the existing building. Previously, we had a lot of concrete, metal panel, so we've softened the colors a bit, and we've introduced the brick. We think this actually aligns very beautifully with the building. Lou, did you want to speak on this, or you want to? Sure. This is just a quick budget update.
Good evening. So what we're showing here, and I think what we want to do is keep this as a standard moving ahead. This really talks to how the proposition for New Windsor was put together. So we have, you'll see Prop 4 and Prop 5. Prop 4 being the additions and renovations, and programmatic renovations. And then Prop 5 was the HVAC upgrade for the project. And then you'll see below that line, you'll see all of the incidentals that we broke out for that scope of work. So during the referendum, for the referendum, we had $11.5 million allocated. You'll see total construction costs allocated for New Windsor, and it's a little hard to see, it's in blue, $11.5 million. The SED estimate was $14.3 million. So we were, and this was work that we did back in the fall of 2021. We were over budget by about $2.8 million. We have done quite a bit of value engineering on the project, so you'll see that to date we have about $2.5 million that we presented of value to bring the project back in. And we're still saying that even with the value engineering, we're about $200,000 over, but we're continuing to chip away. So this value engineering really doesn't talk to really looking at the exterior envelope even more and really trying to address that exterior envelope more. So I think we're in a good place as far as getting back to what we had originally projected, back in 2019 with the 11.5 that we allocated to this building. So that's the number side of it.
Are there any questions on that before we move forward? I'm going to start talking about CTE next. So,
Anybody have any questions? Mr. Velez?
Yeah, if we go out to bids, hopefully in the fall, do you have a schedule projecting going forward when we're going to start construction and the expected completion time?
Yeah, so that's actually the next slide.
Okay.
So we were looking to be ready to bid by the fall of 2022. And this really talks to, working with SED on an addendum to what's already there, because your documents have already been with SED. So what we'd like to do is bid, late winter, early spring of 2023 is really when the goal would be to start construction. And that would carry through till September of 2024. So that's the schedule there.
So a related question then. New Windsor is the only building that we're at this point that really hasn't had the approval from SED yet, correct? Where the other buildings have, where the construction is started.
that's correct. So, well, CTE also has not.
No, I realize that,
approval,
yeah.
But you're correct in saying that, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if you want to move to CTE.
Sure. Okay, so CTE, we're following a similar process. We had an estimate performed a while back. It was about $7 million over budget, and Lou can speak to that. We'll have a similar slide to the budget update on that one as well. So we've been really putting forth a pretty strong effort on reducing some of the scope and rethinking some of the choices that were made previously. So some of those items are changing the facade to brick instead of a metal panel and cowl wall, so a translucent panel system. Very similar to New Windsor, it's more about getting the building to align more closely with the neighborhood and similar buildings within the district. That also comes with a fairly substantial cost savings, so that actually benefits the project. We've modified some landscaping to create more green space. We have gone forward and redesigned the gym to align more closely with what the original bond intent was. And I think I've presented on that at a board meeting previously. We have changed the atrium space to better support instructional purposes. So what that means is there was a large stair in the middle of the building, and it had an opening to the second floor. So it was a very nice grand space, but it didn't do much for curriculum. So the proposition on the table now is to take that stair away. That does not impact our egress in any way. And then basically fill in the floor area so that you do have extra floor area to support program. So we're looking at putting a couple of classrooms in, potentially a cafeteria type seating area as well. We looked at the parking a little more closely, understanding that many of the students are being bused or traveling from NFA Main on the same site. We're looking at essentially staff parking only. Now that the gym has been reduced as well, it's not as much of a grand event space that was anticipated, so we're looking more closely at the parking count as well. We're looking at a roughly $6 million savings by incorporating these changes. Depending on some of the decisions that the district still is pending to make, we're looking at submitting to SED in October, possibly November, when these decisions get made. And then we have an anticipated approval from SED in the spring of next year. So this is a very large project. It will take some time for SED to review it, and we're really recommending a face-to-face review with them on this. If you recall, we had a previous construction project, which we've been calling Phase 2A, and that was for the site clearing of this site. This also had the demolition of the Odell building and the maintenance building that was on the site. That project is complete, and the site is stabilized. So we're monitoring that once a month. We come out and do what's called SWIP inspections, so stormwater pollution prevention. We just want to make sure that all of the facilities for stormwater control are still intact and in place, and if not, we'll make recommendations to correct those. I'm going to jump in on this.
So again, I'm going back to the referendum and, really looking at the breakout of the CTE site. We had buildings that were on the site that we had to budget for to be demolished. So that was one part of it. The second part of it was we did look at the site holistically. There was, right now, a contractor can go to the site and really bid the site in a positive way because he can actually see where the building pad's going to be. Whereas before, you'd walk on the site, and it was really a hard visual way to bid the job. So on purpose, we broke this up into multiple phases. So when you look at this, all in, we were at $70,964,000. The latest cost estimate, we're at $78 million. We were $7.1 million, almost $7.2 million over budget. A big part of that was the fact that we had a 30,000 square foot gym arena that we have now reduced to about 12,500 square feet. So when you see the first item, savings from gym reduction in square footage, you'll see there's $6.6 million that we saved just in reducing the square footage of that gym. That brings us to, about $5 million over budget. Now, the one thing I want to qualify here when I say, or $500,000 over budget, when you look at the CTE site, the first phase of work, when you look at the site development and the total contingency we had there, we had $2.6 million allocated to that project. We came in at about 1.9, almost 2 million. So there's 600,000 that actually goes to the bottom line. I haven't done that yet because we haven't closed out Phase 2A. But when that happens, that really does bring us to almost an even point. But if you look at that center column, we are running about a little over $500,000 under budget. And What's also not included, the district did pay for about $300,000 worth of rock removal. We crushed it, though. That rock that's currently on site is going to be used for base for your parking areas. So that $300,000 now becomes a credit to the bid when we actually go out to bid for the next phase of work. So that's going to be a positive that I'm also not showing here. So when you look at all the value engineering, I think that's all going to be really, it's really trying to put ourselves into a strong position on bid day. Any questions on the budget?
Any questions on CTE to this point? Ms. Mineo?
I have a comment more than a question. I still have a problem with that uncovered walkway. It really, to me, is a hard thing, especially for those students who have difficulty walking or difficulty getting from place to place on time. An uncovered walkway, especially for those students with disabilities, mobility issues, and staff with mobility issues. I think it's really something that we need to take into consideration. I think it's a serious concern.
I agree, and I think that this has been brought up basically from the beginning of this project with points of how possibly could this be better. I'm sure that these guys can figure out a way to make this happen. So, okay. Next steps, what do we have here?
Okay, so like I said earlier, we're still looking to submit to SED, so we do have some more value engineering to do, some more decisions the district has to make, but we are looking at fall of this year submitting. Once we get approval, we're anticipating a bid in the spring of next year. This is construction speak again.
Okay, so yeah, we always want to just, going into the school year, just try to address the important things. Students and staff, first priority is safety. Right now, COVID is still out there. We're looking for the latest, protocols in regards to COVID so that we can express those to the contractors, current, guidance and everything else. And also, we're, of course, making sure we're doing daily system checks with the Raptor for anyone that's on site. Matt, thank you. You've been great with last minute, constant, every day, just throwing guys at you to say that we're okay. We do, you saw earlier, Bill did show the logistics plan, so we did sit down with the principals and get approval on these plans for security on site and logistics. Construction barriers. We've also, actually, last Friday, we had a great conversation about how we would help to reroute parents, in particular at Valesgate. Very good conversation because it's really helpful for us to understand how the principal uses the site and how parents come in and out. And a lot of the parents come, we didn't realize, they come 45 minutes before they're there to pick up their kids. So that's a big deal. That's big for us to understand on how to manage that site. All contractors are required to wear ID badges. What we've done, and Kimberly was great with this, we have stickers. We had photographed stickers that are on all the helmets. So again, we're catching up on that, but 90% of the contractors that are on site have a sticker that shows that they've been approved through the Raptor system. So it's an easy look when the contractor's on site. Of course, we're going to work hard to keep the inconvenience. There is an inconvenience to the neighbors and to the school, so we're going to try to do that. We do have full-time supervision on site, and all communications from the contractor through the CM. We want to make sure the contractors understand that they cannot be talking to the administration. They can't be talking to students. If they do talk to students, there's a zero tolerance policy. You talk to a student, you're off the site. You can't talk to staff. The staff don't have anything to do with the project. They'll have all sorts of requests as well. Communications come through us. Emergencies come through us. We've also talked about, even something, the basics, fire drills. Let's make sure we're all on the same page with fire drills and how the kids are egressing the building, making sure they're not egressing towards a space that they used to, that now is under site containment. So that's really important as well. So these are just things. And I think also as we move on, we would ask for, this is our first formal update to the Facilities Committee. This update can be massaged in any which way you guys feel is better for you as far as reporting back to the board. We tried to put a lot of information in here. If you feel in the future there's other things that should be talked about, we can include them, or, again, make it better, or slimline it. If you guys feel like there's too much, we can also pull back on it too. So, thank you.
Anybody have any questions in general? No? Well, thank you guys for the presentation. It was very informative, and if we would like any kind of changes, pluses or minuses, we'll let you know. Maybe there's some areas that someone may want to.
Great.
Yeah. And just one quick question. When you mentioned you need to be in line with fire drills, there's also other security things that if there's a test for, lockdown or lockouts, you need to decide what direction your guys are going to go with. So, all right.
Mr. Levinstein,
Yes.
we've actually had that conversation, and they will be aligning with all drills and all actuals in the building at all times.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Okay, so do we have any other comments, or are we adjourned for tonight? No? Okay, we're adjourned, and we'll see you all next month. Thank you very much.